What ages were you when you lived?
Watch the big old truck coming, kid.
I must have been 8. You were 8?
I was in 6th grade. And the railroad tracks, this car, in a minute, will go over the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks were right there. And one day I come home from school, and there was a train coming called the D&M, Detroit Macklin. And it always had 3 cars, an engine and 2 cars. One car was for passengers, one car was for freight. And I saw the train coming, and Bear and I were walking, and I tried to jump over the tracks before the train came. And I made it because I'm still here. My dad was in the garage, just had pulled in from work, and he saw me. And when I got home, he had a piece of kindling about that long and about that thick. And I still have bruises on my arm.
How often did you see that stick?
I only saw it once. Yeah, I was burner blinded.
Tell them about our fancy bathrooms.
Our fancy bathroom, the toilets were outside toilets. But the toilets were made a replica of the house, right to a T. The roof and the fancy work of gingerbread on it.
The outhouses?
The outhouses. And there was 11 holes in these 2 one was for women, one for men. And there were 11 holes, and each hole had a cover on it.
We could have used that last night.
and it was wallpapered. It was beautiful. And you didn't have to put your feet on the ground from the porch out to the outhouses.
The men did.
The men had to go around and do it. The women didn't have to get their feet on the ground. I had a walkway out to the outhouse, and the outhouses were just as clean as the inside of the house.
Did your mom, did your mom wallpaper it, or who?
Oh no, it was all done by my grandmother.
Oh, your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandmother, LeClair, was one of the cleanest women you ever saw.
Josephine?
Josephine, yes. You just had to admire her. She was just spotless and religious. I mean, you didn't dare say any kind of a cuss word in front of her. She'd slap you right to the ground. I was there many times. The house was made out of solid walnut wood. The whole house out of solid walnut wood, with not a knot in it. And the basement walls, which were about 5 or 6 feet high, were 3 feet thick. And at the back end of the farm, which was 63 acres, there was another piece of land the county owned, and they had a dynamite house there. They used to, that's how they stored dynamite. Each county had a dynamite house where they stored dynamite. And
What's that?
dynamite.
Oh, dynamite.
Dynamite.
Oh.
We used to call it Dan. That's the only time we could say Dan. And there was 2 children, neighbor children, who lived up the road, playing there with matches and blew it up, and the kids blew the kids up and so on. But yes, seriously. And this was all before our time. And it rattled the house, so the basement of the house was made out of stone and concrete. And the concrete wasn't like this kind of concrete we had today that was good and solid and so on. And it loosened almost the whole basement of that house. And thank goodness it was 3 feet thick, because that house was heavy. Walnut wood is very dense and heavy. And our great grandfather Belloc, which started the religion in this town, the Catholic religion, and you'll see that in the next trip at SOP, was a lumber baron. And this area was nothing but beautiful trees, oak and all different kinds. And he was the chief lumberman that cut it all down and sold it and made money.
So was he logging hardwood and softwood?
Everything.
Everything.
He did it. And then there was a big fire that happened in 1920, I think it was, that burnt all this land. Everything from the straits where we were staying all the way up to Alpena 100 miles inland. And they had to get people out of here because it was nothing but a big forest fire. And the railroad cars were all wooden. And I've seen pictures of the railroad cars burning with people on them trying to get out So there's a lot of history that a lot of people don't hear about because of it.
Did your grandfather build that farmhouse?
He
then?
built the farmhouse,
Okay.
right. It was his, he wasn't a farmer, but he built, it was going to be his summer house. And,
Not our grandfather, our great-grandfather.
our great-grandfather.
Okay.
And Josephine, our grandmother, was his daughter. And she was a Ballant, as you see in the history.
There's a car
And she inherited. She inherited. What did you say?
There was a car coming, but we scared him
Oh,
away.
good, good.
Said it looks like they're going to meeting. He
So,
wasn't gonna do that.
that's where, and right here, where that mailbox is, there was 21 mailboxes. This was the one stop that the postman made for all the houses for a mile that way and a mile that way and so on. And when he'd stop, us kids, there was a ditch right there in front of the house, and they had a little bridge over it. And when we moved here, the bridge was gone. They had just a piece of lumber over it, and us kids used to run, and we had to run over that bridge so we wouldn't fall in and get the mail. You knew what everybody else was getting because you
Excuse me, this is the manager hotel. He has a room reserved for a Philip Barnes that says he's with our group. Anybody know?
Yes, that's Rachel's.
We canceled it. Yeah. I talked with him on the phone
Oh, they're
about it.
not coming?
No.
Apparently it was supposed to be canceled.
Yeah, we had canceled it. I had talked with him probably 2 weeks, about 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Watch the cars.
What happened?
The golf course is a mile down the road, and that's why there's lots of cars on the road. And my brother Bear and I,
Trees right here, and I used to pick wild strawberries and take them into the house with my dolls and sit around the table.
Little tea party.
That's so cute.
You were invited. She did share it.
You're learning something on this trip too, huh?
Did you live in this house? I mean, this is where you were born?
oh no.
Oh.
When Grandpa LeClair died, Grandma LeClair moved into town, her and May. May was a,
Right.
what do you call single women, old maid.
Okay.
And
A single woman.
they had a room house for teachers. And my dad and his family, us, moved into the house. And we were here for 3 years. And my Bear and I caddied at the golf course. And there was about 14 caddies in all. And the first one who got there in the morning and signed in got to go out first. And sometimes, if there was enough people playing that day, you could go out the second time. And instead of making 40 cents, you could make 80 cents. And every other day, we had an old bicycle. I mean, it was old. And every other day, Bear would ride it one day, and I'd ride it next to sign in, while the other would milk the cows. And believe it or not, I was 10 years old, and I was small. And I was probably as big as that lad right there. And there was a guy from Detroit who worked for the Ford Motor Company, an executive who had a leather bag. It was so heavy, and it touched the ground. And he didn't want that leather bag dragging, so he'd carry the bag and I'd walk.
Did you still get your 40 cents?
Oh, yeah. He was a really nice guy. As a matter of fact, as I grew up, and I was in 10th grade, I started to play golf for the high school golf team. And he used to still come to town, and I had guts enough to ask him if I could borrow his bag and his clubs, and he let me have them.
Oh.
Armin, whatever happened to the house?
The people who bought the farm, and believe it or not, this is 63 acres of first-class land. There's only 2 places in the county. One is out in Inverness Township, and the other is here. That had first-class land. First-class land means there's 5 classes of land in every county, and the first-class land is nothing but the best land will grow anything. And it's right here where you're looking at it. And the people who bought the house bought the house and the land for $4,000. My grandmother wanted to get rid of it, and we'd probably still been here if she.
So you only lived there 3 years?
3 years.
Wow.
And my sister Joyce and I walked every day during the school year to school, 2.5 miles. Sometimes we'd go down the railroad tracks, and sometimes we'd go down the road. And one winter day, there was a blizzard, and I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And Joyce would walk on the inside always, and I'd walk on the outside. And you'd walk your back, the blizzard would keep blowing your face. And you had your elbows up close by to keep your body warm. And something hit my arm and pushed it out, and a truck, a box truck went by. When he went by, he pulled the snow with it so you could see it. And I come that close to dying. So I walked on the inside.
Times you almost lost your life now, didn't you?
I'm old enough now, it doesn't matter.
So where were the other ones? Was it just you and Joyce walking? Or the other one's older?
No, I don't know the second time. When was the second time?
No.
Yeah,
Going
you're
to
the
school.
kids.
Y'all the only ones that
And
went to school?
I
Bear
did-
and Phyllis and Eileen and Doris.
Oh, they went to high school.
Oh, I said.
No, they were
oh,
probably
okay.
out of, well, let's see.
Bear was not.
No, Bear was in the 8th grade.
Phyllis was out of school.
what's the age spread? I mean, like, so how many years between all
10
you?
years.
Between you and Phyllis?
Yeah.
10 years.
Oh.
I never did.
So it was Phyllis, Doris,
Eileen.
Eileen, Doris,
Yeah.
oh, Bear.
Myself and her.
Okay. So,
She was
but
the baby.
the middle school was in a different area?
Oh
than
yeah,
the
different area.
high school?
Yeah.
So they rode a bus or
Yeah, and I think
No, they didn't have
the
buses.
Did they walk 5 miles?
the big kids that got a ride with my dad when
They
they went to
didn't walk
work.
as far as we did.
Oh,
So y'all all
I
started
think-
out walking together and then y'all split up? Or?
Oh no, just Joyce and I walked because the other kids,
They probably didn't have to be there as early or something.
right, and they got a ride with Dad when he went to work.
Okay, whatever. I don't know.
I can remember one day we come
Apparently your
home.
The
dad
poor-
didn't like you.
The poor younger children.
Y'all just shoot y'all out and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe my dad is driving the truck. If you knew what a devil I was, you'd understand that. One day in the wintertime, the snow again, another blizzard, and the girls were in high school. They had silk stockings, and we come around that corner, and the plow had just gone through. And my dad seen the bank, and he pulled off kind of the side, and he put it in first gear, and he tried to go through that snow bank, and he got about 3/4 of the way through, and it was stalled. We just couldn't go no further. So we had to walk in, and it was cold. It was almost like 20 below zero. And I can remember Doris particularly crying because she had those silk stockings on, and her feet, her legs were freezing. So we had to walk from the corner to the house. Incidentally, the house, the basement was so large, to heat the house, they had a flat stove that would take logs as big as telephone poles. The whole top would go up, and they'd put telephone pole sized logs in there. And this was in the basement, and the heat would go up through the house.
How many fireplaces?
How'd they get that? How'd they get
There were
those
no
logs in there?
No fireplaces in the house. In the upstairs, the bedrooms, there was one bedroom that was like 25 by 25 where the girls, the older girls stayed. In the hallway,
In the wintertime, we stayed in the back part of the house.
yeah,
In the summertime, our bedrooms were the nicer bedrooms.
Yeah.
Because it was,
in the wintertime, the frost on the windows would be 3/4 of an inch thick when we get up in the morning. And in addition to the blankets we had, all the coats in the house would be on somebody's bed, trying to keep it warm. And, so it was an exciting time for us, our life, on the farm. But the old